All right, now we've created our just bare CVS GitLab repository um, with just a README. They have this thing called Auto DevOps. It's kind of annoying. At some point, you're gonna get you might get an email that complains that it hasn't been set up or something like that. That's not something to worry about. But what we want to do is we want to connect to our GitLab through our IDE, which in our case is going to be NetBeans, or you can use whatever your favorite IDE is. Again, NetBeans is what we'll be using in this course. Now, because of the two-factor authentication business, the only way, well, there are two ways to connect. And if you click on this little clone blue button here, and if you open that up, you see two options. One is clone with SSH, that's a secure shell, and the other is clone with HTTPS. That's what I'll be talking about here. If you know how to generate a public-private key and load that in, then you can clone with SSH. The only issue I've found with that is that if you're not on the VPN or if you're not on campus, then it doesn't seem to work. Whereas the other, just cloning with HTTPS, seems to work just fine. However, in order to use HTTPS, you'll be authenticating with your NPS username, but you'll need a special password. And they have, for some reason, they have a funny name for it called an access token. Now, there are two ways to do an access token. One is specific to the project, and that's basically what will enable you to interact with this project. Or you can create a personal one, which is what we're going to do, which I'm going to demonstrate. And then the advantage of that is that you can use that for all of your different projects on this GitLab. So go to the upper right, and if you open up your little icon here, we want to edit our profile. And on the right-hand side here, this is where you would load your SSH keys or GPG keys if you happen to use those. But for this, we're going to select access tokens. And we want to let's give it a token name. I'm going to call mine bus token. We can call it whatever we want. Just don't call it late for dinner. And we need to select a scope for it. This is all a bunch of fancy stuff. If you just pick API that gives complete read-write access to all groups and projects and blah, blah, blah. So that's the one that I'm going to recommend. Now, here's the tricky part. See, this is just a randomly generated bunch of gobbledygoo, as you can see. And it doesn't get saved anywhere. So they say, make sure you save it. You won't be able to access it again. As soon as you navigate away from this page, it's gone. So basically, let's just make sure that we copy it. Let's and just one way is just kind of open up a text editor and save it in there. Again, you don't want this. Again, this is like a password, so you want to be kind of careful about this. Our main use for it is going to be with NetBeans, and so that is the subject of the next video. So we are all set to connect from our IDE, and we'll